Hi beautiful people! So today's video will be about teaching you how to get the splits without actually doing the splits. So in my journey, I went from these two pictures, very big difference, without actually doing the splits. Between these two pictures, I did the splits about once or maybe twice. So for you, it's also not necessary to do the splits in order to achieve them. Don't forget to like and subscribe my channel so I can keep making this content for you guys. The first thing you need to do is to check your pelvis position. I have a video somewhere here that can tell you how to check your pelvic position and to see if you actually have an anterior pelvic tilt, because most people actually have this. You might feel like your hamstrings are too tight, but maybe that's not the case. So the reason why we do this is because it's important to have a good foundation. If we don't have a good foundation, anything that we build on top of that will be kind of wobbly. So one thing I really recommend you is to take pictures of your process. I cannot tell you how much this helps. You are your only competition, so the only person that you should be comparing yourself is the person who you were yesterday. If you want, you can tag me on Instagram. You can see my handle here somewhere. I have no idea, but here somewhere I'll tag it. And please follow me on Instagram so I can follow your journey, because honestly, I thought I was too old to get the splits. I thought it wouldn't be possible for me anymore, but it happened. To begin with, we can warm up with a sun salutation or any warm up that you actually want to do. I'm doing here a Hatha Yoga sun salutation, but you could do any warm up that you prefer. If you're not into yoga, you can just do your normal workout and then follow the exercises that come afterwards to warm up properly to do the splits. In Hatha Yoga, we start with a slight back bend, inhaling, then we exhale into a forward fold. We bring one leg far back, raising our chest, inhaling, stepping back to plank and lowering our chest, knees and chin down to the floor into Ashtanga Namaskar. Pushing ourselves up into Bhujangasana with an inhale, exhalation, pushing ourselves back to Parvatasana. Bringing one foot again between our hands, bending the knees in the forward fold, slowly standing up, doing a slight back bend and bringing our hands into prayer position. Then in a low lunge, we will do a small hip vinyasa where we will sway between a runner stretch and a low lunge, going back and forth. And if you want a little bit of an extra challenge, you can place your hands on top of your thigh and try this without your hands on the floor. This will help you activate more muscles, and even though we want to become more flexible, activation is also the key to become flexible in the safest way. Then going into lizard pose, we place both our hands on the inside of our front leg. We lift our back knee, and if we can come down to our forearms. If that is not possible, stay on your palms, and we're going to do knee raises. Drop your knee to the floor and raise it back up a couple of times. And coming back into a downward facing dog. We can also do spinal rolls, in which we go from downward facing dog into a high plank, slowly trying to move each vertebra individually. This will help open up the hamstrings a little bit and give us a little bit more space in the back. And don't forget to do both sides, because we want to achieve the splits on both sides. So doing the hip vinyasa. This hip vinyasa is one of the things that helped me the most. And wiggling a bit in the poses. Don't feel ashamed to wiggle in the poses. It might help you activate different muscles. It might help you stretch different muscles. We don't only need to open our legs, but we also need to strengthen them. And for that, side lunges are a great exercise. We can sway from side to side, trying to keep balance as much as possible, or we can place our hands on the floor and help us sway side to side. Focusing on activating our legs, flexing our toes, flexing our feet. This will help keep our body stable. This might be a bit intense for the inside of our thighs, so be mindful. You should feel quite a good stretch at the same time as strengthening in this pose. Back into a low lunge, we will do a quad stretch. We will grab the back of our foot and we will add a little bit of movement. We can sway a little bit side to side. We can look at our toe and look to the front, incorporating a bit more of hip movement in here without hanging in the hips. This is very important. Try to keep all your muscles activated. You can include a little chaturanga, an upward facing dog and a downward facing dog to combine these poses. And here you will switch sides. Remember to do both sides at all time. In pigeon pose, you want to actively stretch it. You don't want to be hanging in this pose. You don't want to just relax in this pose. We want to activate our muscles to protect our hips. If this feels okay, focus on lifting your torso, and instead of folding forward, try to keep your upper body elevated. This will get more of a stretch into your hips. As well, here, you can add a quadricep stretch. Lift your back leg and hold it with your hand. And try to push it away, pushing it backwards so that it elevates your upper body more, and we can get a deeper stretch into the hips. Another pose that we should include is a bended knee forward fold. Bend your knees so this pose becomes a bit easier for you, a bit more accessible, and so we don't start pulling on the hamstrings too much, because we tend to overstretch our hamstrings in the beginning. My split routine was mostly the basic hip vinyasa and adding these quadricep stretches. But I will show you some extra exercises that I only started including later in my practice. So these exercises, only if you feel ready, you can start incorporating them. So you can have a look and see if they feel relevant for your own practice. Remember to not push your limits. We don't want to hurt ourselves. We don't want things to be painful. We just want to be slightly uncomfortable, okay? One of these exercises can be hand to toe. In this variation, you require a lot of balance, which is also great for strengthening your legs, which you will need in these poses. Now also opening to the side can be a great way to open your hips a bit more. So hand to toe, and if you can, forward fold in this position. That will even add a bigger challenge, and it will help you open your hamstrings as well. And doing a split against the wall. So you can do a downward facing dog with your feet against the wall, and you will add mobility in this split. This can be very challenging in the beginning because you probably have never done this before, but it will open up your range of motion. It will create more space in a very safe way. If we are not hanging in the pose, we need to actually use our muscles. So by doing the splits against the wall, we need to actively lift that leg and create movement in it. So we're also protecting our body, and at the same time we are stretching it. We're strengthening also our upper body, which will come in very handy with other poses. Also, especially if you want to start doing your standing split, or you want to incorporate more arm balances in your practice, creating that upper body strength is one of the basic things that we should do. The better we get at being in an uncomfortable position, the easier things will come for us. So not stressing in that situation is very important. So try to find a way, or try to find a place where you are not stressing your body, but you are just in a slight discomfort. That's my best tip for you guys. And now to finally get into the split, I use again the hip vinyasa.
It's the easiest way for me to slide into the splits. I will give the front foot a little bit more space. So the moment I get into that low lunge, I will wiggle my foot a little bit forward and I will go back into a runner stretch and slowly go a bit further until I can reach the floor. If this is crazy for you, you can use blocks on the side. Don't be scared of using props, especially if you're not there yet. You can also use pillows under your hips. You can use books under your hips to create a little bit of extra height.
Remember that yoga is a practice, it's not a yoga perfect. So I hope these stretches have helped you in your journey. If you have any questions, you can comment on the section below and I'll get back to you. Thank you guys so much. I am so grateful that you guys are watching the video and are taking the time to actually support me. It's been amazing. Thank you very much and I hope you guys have a lovely day.